Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Your Nonprofit Power, this week's special edition, the softball effect. We're going to be talking about what the heck does softball have to do with fundraising and building your epic organization. Let me know where you're joining from, and definitely let me know if you're catching us on the replay. Your Nonprofit Power is my podcast. I'm Amy Fazio, and we talk about all things nonprofit leadership. I created the Magnify Your Mission system to give you tangible steps you can take to grow your nonprofit without the overwhelm. And I am super excited about today's topic, the softball effect, because I continue to fine tune this process, the Magnify Your Mission system, and I learn more about the methodical steps and how to break them down with every activity and exercise and experience that I have, and everything I learned from all of you. I'm lucky to have clients from all over the world working on all kinds of important issues that I care about, and most importantly, they're committed to making a difference in. I take that responsibility as a leader very seriously, and I've learned over the years, change comes in all sizes, right? Whether I've been leading nonprofits or helping nonprofit leaders or active in my own community. Those are all three different tiers of impactful leadership that I learned from and I want to share with you. So today I want to share 5 things I've learned about becoming a softball booster mom. Now that might surprise some of you. I know very little bit about softball, and after watching the game for 8 years, my daughter has been in our local school district softball program for 8 years. I still understand very few of the rules ultimately. Love the game though, and always a good day outside. Well, not always. But it's amazing to watch this group of girls evolve through the years, 10, almost 8 years together, how their skills have developed, but how the community has developed around them. And in some years haven't. So I want to tell you a little bit about the story about my experience with youth sports in the softball field here in my home district of New Brighton, Pennsylvania. And how I think it's going to be an important way for you to look at these steps in a very condensed framework. As much as I get excited about making big impact on the world stage, nothing has me more excited these days about how we can make incremental steps in our families and in our neighborhoods. And a lot of that has come through the class that I teach, civic and community engagement at Penn State Beaver. And when I really talk to students about what does being involved in your community look like, what are the different ways to do it, you're really looking to see where you can make the most difference. So in my class that I teach, there are 3 ways to engage in your community, according to the academics, long-time research. You can get involved in the electoral process, right? Running for office, getting involved in politics. You can get involved in the civic aspect, nonprofits and volunteering and choosing to fix things in your community directly, hands-on. Or thirdly, the third type of civic engagement is public voice, is using your collective voice to leverage your power and drive change. Protests, boycotts, right? Sit-ins, all kinds of different activities that we do as a community to strengthen our voice. So we look at these different types of engagement, and I'm always understanding this on different levels and sharing with my clients in the Magnify Your Mission program, how they can be thinking about community engagement and community building in a more methodical way. Now, don't misunderstand me. Community engagement is both art form and system, structured, right? It's art form and structured systems. It's both things. But what I find people do is want to lean in all with the heart and relationship and not really thinking through the framework and the environment and the bubble that you can create to make your life easier, to make people feel more seen and heard, to create a culture of accountability. Those are important values and principles of effective communities. So we've been a dysfunctional group at the Softball League for a long time. I'm not afraid to say it. In fact, it's why I got involved. Guys, I'm going to just pull this up because I want to make sure that you can see and hear me. I want to make sure that I am visible to you. Let me know if you are watching. Let me know where you're watching from. And I appreciate your patience, but this is going to make just for a better conversation. Okay, awesome. Yes, let me know if you can see and hear me. I would appreciate that. Just give me a things are working. That'd be fantastic. Although it seems like it might be. Okay, awesome. So here are the 5 things that I learned to help my dysfunctional group of players and parents. We are a wonderful group of folks. And like any organization, there are things that aren't going to be perfect. But it's what we do about them that I think says more about our character than simply acknowledging them or pointing them out, right? And so that's what I found. I found a lot of complaining, a lot of people feeling frustrated, but isolated. Parents not really knowing how to connect with one another to share ideas and stories. But when we started reaching out and talking to each other, we realized we had some things in common. We wanted to see some different things move in a different direction for our girls. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So, that's important. When I work with my students in understanding community engagement, problem solving is a skill set. It's not something we're necessarily born with. In fact, we're not born with it. Absolutely not. Being right is not the job. It's working together, sometimes with people you don't agree with, around shared goals and common interests to meet your big vision, to make it happen, because people are counting on you. And so we have to think about our big vision and the who cares in order to bring the right people around the table. So, guys, I'm going to talk to you about the 5 things I've learned and how it's helped me fine tune the Magnify Your Mission system even more. So I can be helping social justice organizations, human service organizations, folks in education get to their goals faster by bringing their community along with them. Community engagement as nonprofits is our superpower, right? Community is where our power is, and how we leverage that voice and that strength is the difference between us banging our heads against the wall, struggle. I call it the hustler phase of fundraising, to becoming a fearless fundraiser with an army of supporters behind you, with your megaphone demanding change. So this program, the Magnify Your Mission system, this process is all about taking individuals from where they are today on their journey to becoming a fearless fundraiser, and then honing their community building skills to make big change. So the first thing I found when I was talking and observing and working within my nonprofit or within the softball community is a pervasive poverty of expectations. And I'll be honest, I feel like our community suffers from this a lot. We are in rural Pennsylvania, and there is an assumption that we only deserve so much, that who are we to ask for more? And I see it in the school district. I see it in the community groups I'm involved in. I see it in the planning meetings and my volunteer work. I do serve on our school board in New Brighton. And what I want to tell everybody in this community is how amazing and special we are, which I think we all agree. And we deserve advocates and representatives who fight for us in healthy ways so we can improve even more. We can be a more appealing place to live and move and raise your families in. So this poverty of expectations was finding its way on our softball team, whether it was the poor equipment or nobody cares about our team so we can never have good uniforms, or we have to take the broken down van, right? All these things that we complained about as a community, or I heard complaints about, but never any real clear answers of what's been attempted to solve it and what needs to happen to get it done. So I started digging, and I went straight to the superintendent. Help me understand this process. And over the next few weeks, when I made this decision, I'm going to get more involved because, and I'll be really honest, my why is my girl was having an ineffective, unproductive, and unhealthy experience on this team. That was my take. She was excited. She would show up, and the culture just wasn't there that really empowered and supported her self-esteem in a way that a program I was proud to have her be a part of. So I wanted to get involved. And that's a bold thing to say, right? Because it's acknowledging things aren't working. But the fact is, at the very least, we can look at a winning record, a very poor winning record, and say, we got to look and see what's not translating, because our girls are quite capable, right? So it's not winning for winning's sake, but when you look at the results season after season, it's time to dig in and see what's going on in here. And culture is absolutely the number one issue. Okay, so here's what I did. I decided to get involved. I wanted a more positive environment. I wanted these moms to come together, the dads to come together, the grandparents to come together. I wanted cheering in the outfields. I wanted our girls to have the skills and confidence, the training that they need to be successful or to play competitively. And that's how I'm defining success. And that they can do it, that they deserve it too. They deserve the good stuff too. So I got busy. And the first thing I did in the 5-step process is, and I'm just going to kind of move through these. These are the 5 steps of the Magnify Your Mission system. We clarified our big vision. What do we want to see happen? And I just shared with you my big vision. And when I started talking to other parents, they had different takes on it. They wanted more quality equipment. They maybe prioritized more of, they wanted a better winning record. They wanted opportunities for their girls to get together outside of the game. So I spent about 2 months talking with about 15 or 20 people, getting their perspective, 20-minute phone calls. And I'm really good at keeping my calls tight. So I knew I was going in, I knew it was going to be 20 minutes, and my job was to listen. And step 1 was really helping the group define their big vision. And we're still doing this, right? But I heard people's complaints. So out of that 20 minutes, probably 12 to 15 minutes was just therapy, people just kind of getting out their frustration, and there is significant frustration. And then I took the remaining amount of the time to let them know what I had learned so far and what I think the best plan forward is, which is formalizing our booster organization so we can support the team more effectively, raise money, and decide together how we want to invest it. The best part about this process, and this was maybe August and September of last year, was how I involved my daughter. I let her know I'm going to, anybody who wants to talk to me, I'm interested to hear what they think could be better. And she was often right next to me having these calls, right? Watching me do my best to listen, to summarize what I heard, and to validate it. But most importantly, it was important to me that she hear me redirect the conversation to solutions. And that's what I hope she takes away from that process. That's what I think is important that I do with my clients. We identify the challenges, but we quickly redirect to the solutions. So that big vision, those conversations, getting in the community and saying, where is our shared interest, was step number 1. The who cares. That's what we call it in the Magnify Your Mission system. Let's get your brand position down and really talk about who cares and why, so we can bring them to the table. Step 2 is board development, right? Strategic planning ultimately, but on a very small scale. We needed a functioning governing body. We needed bylaws. We didn't have an EIN number. We had no legitimate bank account. The individual before me was operating very independently. So in order for us to be transparent and share with everybody what was going on, we needed to formalize our process. Now that's the right thing to do anyway, but it is an important thing to note that you need to prioritize structure before you think you need to, even if you're just a $10,000 organization. Spoiler alert, that's what we raised this year. Hey, I'm seeing a Facebook user and I don't see who it is. Tell me your name. You have to click the link above if it's there to let me know. So, because it's a privacy group, so they want to protect your name. So, we structured, we set meetings, we even came up with committees, right? Because I happen to know how to do this. And even though, man, we're just trying to raise $10,000, man, we're just trying to buy these particular things. The fact is we didn't agree on all of those specifics up front. And so we needed systems and structures to move it through. So we came up with committees. We created a budget, what we were going to bring in and what we were going to spend it on, so that could be shared. We identified a president, a vice president, a secretary / treasurer, And then we had a fundraising chair, and those were the chairs this year. Next year, we're going to be expanding our committee structure so that everybody that wants to can have a role. Chair of the concession stand. I mean, this is really wild, right? This is a very microcosmic example, but this is how it works no matter how big you are. I promise you, these are the same principles. Kelly Kane, good to see you, my friend. We're talking softball. Kelly's growing her mission like crazy at the Autism Caring Center. So I'm curious if the softball effect relates to you. Getting people excited around that big vision, structuring your committees and your team to be successful, learning to set goals even when you don't think it's necessary or big enough to have to organize in that way. Goal setting is significant because it will keep us grounded. The third thing we did was we detailed out our fundraising plan and we kept it simple. So because I know fundraising and I was able to kind of see what other teams were doing, I had a sense that we were going to be targeting at around $10,000. And to be honest, we could raise more. But the fact is, the infrastructure isn't in place for us to spend more than that right now. And that's just true. So we want to be careful about our time and energy. We are a group of volunteer moms. So we knew $10,000 was doable, and we knew that we had a good plan to spend it in a way that would improve the girls' experience. So we came up with a 12-month simple fundraising plan, and it constituted very simply of some tagging events where you stand out in the community and ask for support for the team. It included a cooler full of fun raffle ticket for $5,000 when we sell all the tickets. And then it included a sponsorships. And that very simply was, and I'm sorry, it included a fourth one, which was a product sale. We sold candles. So together, we knew if we hit our targets, we would hit $10,000. And we also knew we could divide that work up to make it manageable for all of us over a series of months. Simple fundraising plan. Now, I facilitated a lot of meetings over that time period where we spent 20 minutes brainstorming fundraising ideas. What do I always say? We don't have an idea. We're not short on ideas. We're short on focus and implementation. So whatever fundraising idea they want to do is fine with me, but we're only doing 4. So make them your best 4. And that was a process over a couple of meetings, and sometimes being assertive, saying, we got to shut this part of the conversation down. We've got other things on the agenda. What is the decision going to be? Is it candles? Is it pies? Whatever. So we identified our big why as the first step. We came up with the governing structure and the leadership structure and got the organization formalized. The third thing we did was a simple fundraising plan to get us to our revenue goal of $10,000. And then the fourth thing we did was community engagement, involving the family to cut through and move through this epic or this pervasive poverty of expectations. We knew getting the parents involved was going to be critical, getting the community involved, getting the administration, the local businesses. We needed to generate excitement, enthusiasm around softball because, quite frankly, our winning record wasn't going to do it yet because it's not a winning record. So we started cheerleading that our goal this year is to get to the playoffs. We hadn't been to the playoffs in 6 years, and we were fighting like hell to be in the 4th place of the playoffs. That's just the truth. But it was an awesome rally point to talk to the girls about and to talk to sponsors about as a path showing that we're moving ahead. We're getting better, and their investment was what we needed to do it. So find a milestone, find a next step, because your next step isn't going to be complete and total victory. So you need to bring your community along in the journey and understand the steps. We also, in order to engage the community, decided how we were going to do that. So we created a Facebook page. We created a team app page, so we could communicate with the parents. And we regularly posted and engaged the community in that way, so that when we thanked our sponsors, there was a public-facing component to it that they could see and feel and appreciate, for example. We could also inform the community about our schedule, any changes. So that community engagement is first the platforms on how you're going to engage in your community. Decide, is it social media? Is it emails? And it should be all of it, right? And Is it in person? It's all of it. That's what's critical about effective community engagement. The last step we did, and that we're still working on, and mind you, guys, we're all always working on fine-tuning all these steps, all of them. I'm curious, if you're listening, can you relate to feeling stuck in any one of these areas? Because ultimately, this is my process, is I move throughout these areas knowing that it's a balancing game of what needs to happen first. I'm reading a lot of Stephen Covey right now. I'm preparing for a presentation I'm doing. And it's this first things first. It's knowing what to do next so that you can avoid the overwhelm. And it is a process. It is a process of constant self-reflection as an individuals and also as a community. But functional teams are able to focus on what they have in common and check what their differences are to get results, period. So the fifth thing is conscious leadership, is developing the leadership capacity of those who want to see the change, from coaches to players on the team to the parents, right? Becoming a little bit more aware of that dysfunction and how we can contribute to making it a community and a culture we're proud of. It's not about winning every game. That's not what this is about. But when our girls are feeling disheartened or let down, or feeling that their coaches don't believe in them, or that they show up for practice regularly and they're not getting the information they need, that's a big one. When they know, teenagers know, and teenagers are a lot like your donors. They know. They know when you don't say it out loud. They know. They know when you care, and they know when you don't. And for a bunch of adults to sit back and let things be that degraded is a message these teen girls would take with them. And why I felt it important that if we can build up this group of 15 girls, that is our legacy, our path to changing the world. So grassroots continues to become so important to me. It's some of the most exciting work I do these days. And, when I'm selecting my volunteer opportunities and where I put my donations, that's definitely something I'm thinking about, because I think the ripple effect is significant. Nice. We have softball fans. Where's Pete Ludden when I need him? He's my baseball partner up in Syracuse, New York. He's driving his kids around constantly around the country playing baseball. But yeah, I love it. And I love the team sport. And I love how these girls support. So here's the number one win we've had. And we had a few wins this year, but I'm going to tell you what the number one victory was this season. A couple of the runners up include moving some leaders along that it was time to move. We'll leave it at that. It was time to move. Number two, we had a hell of a concession stand. I was really proud of it. The women did a great job making sure it was stacked simply, but with good stuff, and was always a friendly face. So when other school districts were in our area, when the girls needed something at the concession stand, when parents needed to check in or find something out about a fundraiser, friendly faces at the concession stand with quality service. It sounds like a detail, but I was particularly proud of the team for that, because that is a culture shift. The number one, we raised $10,000. We increased sponsors to $2,500. We plan to double that next year. We connected and supported the coach. We got the girls some new uniforms. They got better quality merchandise. It's not all about the merch, but if you're going to get a sweatshirt, let's not make it a cheap one. Let's make it a nice one. The girls know, teenagers know. They see what the baseball players are getting. They see what the football players are getting. They know. So lots of little wins that tells our players, we're proud of you. We believe in you. What do you need from us to be successful? That's different than trying to, it's giving them the chance to be successful, not doing the success for them. But the number one thing I was most excited about, and I've heard from some of the other parents, was the morale on the team. It's not perfect. And I believe it comes down to leadership above everything else. I'll say that over and over again. And any one of my clients will tell you the same. Look at yourself first. when exploring how to solve a problem. That's it. That's all you can control. That's it. I was proud that these girls' morale had gone up, their team sportsmanship had gone up, they supported each other, they cheered louder in the dugout than they had before. The relationships offline were stronger. And so I am so excited about that. I'm excited for our first ever team dinner that we're having, that we're able to treat the players and help their families attend, honor our seniors. And it's always interesting. We're so sad to see our seniors go. You know, you grow so much between ninth and 12th grade that they become such strong women of character, but also strong players. And so they leave such a void. But what's so cool about that is every year you think, what the heck is this team going to do next year? And others step up and are able to lead. So I love the nurturing, the morale of the team, the desire that they're taking the ownership, that they want to be better. They're not waiting for somebody to come save them, but they're saying, hey, if we want to have better games, if we want to be more proud out there, we now have the equipment and the resources and the support to make it happen. Not any one coach is going to do that for them. And so I'm really proud of that they're taking more ownership over their own destiny, knowing that we've got their back, and that there are adults in the room doing functional work of coming together to get results for them so they can get results for themselves. The softball effect, it's a perfect example of the Magnify Your Mission system. Solutions, right? It's amazing how solutions thinking is so distant. I serve on the school board, and we're having a lot of a conflict right now, more so than during COVID. And I'm not kidding. I've been on the school board 8 years. I really haven't seen anything like it. And it's a bunch of parent advocates wanting a new sport for female athletes, competitive spirit, which is competitive cheer. And their approach is lacking a few of these steps, in my opinion. And so their number one strategy is to come at the school board, and with every step we take, it's just never enough, or there's layers of vague corruption, or and you can check out my website because they're nice enough to come to my business to share their opinions with me. Again, this has never happened before in my 8 years. My social media places are my places of business. And I just think, man, if you could just stop hating us so much and start really being honest about maybe where we do agree, we could come up with some pretty awesome solutions. It's self-sabotaging. It's self-sabotaging to watch. It's a poverty of expectations. They've already decided that they're not going to get it. And so they come out fighting. And it's just, man, you know, maybe just take a minute to look for where we agree, to say, hey, I hear your point, and I can understand where that's a difficult part of your decision-making process. I hear your concern for your girls and you want them to compete. I'm a mom of an athlete. I get it. But there's no effort. There's no effort to come together, and you've got to learn to work with people you don't agree with. I see it in fundraising, taking money from an oil and gas company when maybe you don't personally, as an individual, believe in that type of economic development for your community. But our job as facilitators is to come together to find where we agree. And if it makes ethical sense and business sense and sense for your mission, we gotta make it work. It's not about getting along with people we like or we already agree with. It's not what this world needs. And that's not what big solutions are about. So keep flexing that muscle. This is community engagement, folks. Working with all kinds of people, and definitely what fundraising is about. There's some aggressive and blaming behavior, and I'm so sorry, I'm not seeing who that Facebook user is. And again, I apologize for that because StreamYard is trying to protect your name from different, like if you're not on LinkedIn or whatever. So yeah, and I think as fundraisers, we do it differently sometimes, but it's not always aggressive, but it can be self-defeating or desperate energy. I think the energy we bring to what we're trying to accomplish really matters. It's about confidence and authority. Kelly, it's still, I'm so sorry. Yes. So you're feeling that it's, you should make us pay $50 if we didn't work the concession stands. That's a great idea. See, look at all these good ideas. Did you pay it happily? I actually love the concession stand. That's hilarious though, but good ideas. It is. And I know you work with schools a lot. So I know that working through IEPs and supporting parents and how to navigate the individual education plan. I know, Kelly, you do a lot with that. And there's a great example. I know you have tough skills on keeping in check the areas where you disagree so we can redirect to the areas of agreement and how we can move forward there. I mean, you are a pro at that. And you apply that in your fundraising as well. I know you do, but I know that your expertise comes from very personal, on the ground work. Being mad doesn't get you the results you want, unfortunately. Listen, I hope the softball effect touched your heart in some way. I'm curious about what grassroots activities you're doing in your life that's helping you become a better leader for your organization. The lessons are all around us all the time, all the time. And leadership is a constant process. So take good care of yourself and know with these steps, because it's not rocket science, but you have to know the steps and the order really matters to save your sanity, to cut the busy work, and definitely want you to avoid the burnout, because changing the world is hard, but fundraising doesn't have to be. I can't wait for next week's episode when we talk to Tamara on digital community building, how you can automate some of these steps, still being very authentic in alignment. But in order to scale, we got to make it simple. Have a great week. Good to see you. And let me know if I can help you in any way. Don't forget to take the quiz. What type of fundraiser are you?